9 months ago, a 23-year-old architect's son called George Brown won the first ever Farmers Apprentice competition. He walked away with a £10,000 cash prize and proved that you don't need to be from farming stock to start a career in agriculture. Since then, he has been earning his stripes as a herdsman and learning about low-cost milk production on New Zealand dairy farms. Over the summer, Farmers Weekly caught up with George and found out what he's been up to, his plans for the future, and his views on the realities of becoming a first-generation farmer.
So I've been based in New Zealand, and I guess it was back in December that I won, which was the middle of summer. So there's been a few seasonal summer management tasks been going on to do with managing the grass, and a few also things to do with cows in terms of setting ourselves up for drying off and checking cow condition and building covers for the spring. But actually also I've been preparing various options for next year, and I've been really lucky to have secured what I hope is a really great opportunity on quite a big farm, not too far away from where I've been based this year. It's about 2,500 cows in total through 3 sheds. And I've been really fortunate to get a herd manager role on one of those sheds, which I'm really excited about.
The prize we gave you for winning the Farmers Apprentice was £10,000.
Yeah.
How have you spent that so far?
So I've spent about £1,000 on it, towards a course. It's a production management course in specialising in dairy farming. It's like an online correspondence-based course which I'm doing in New Zealand. But the other thing I'm still hoping to do with the money is buy some calves or some cows. The initial plan was to hopefully buy some this last spring we've just had, but that's been put on hold for the time being. Basically because the opportunity I was given in New Zealand was a bit too good to turn down for the next year, and it would have meant it was a little bit high risk when we're trying to manage the calves back here. Yeah, the plan hasn't changed. It's still definitely to buy some stock. I am possibly going to change the business plan slightly. I quite like the idea of buying empty R2 heifers who are about 15 or 16 months old, running them for a year and trying to get them back in calf. I think hopefully there's a bit less risk in it and the margins are quite good.
So what practices do you think you will be bringing back to the UK from New Zealand that will make you sort of more of an attractive proposition to farmers here in the UK?
So I guess the main skill set I hope to bring back is, again, all about grass. I sound like a bit of a nerd, don't I? But that's something that's been hammered home to me this year, is just the importance of focusing that. And also just looking at your costs. It's very easy to look at things beyond the farm gate that are constraining your business and stopping it progressing, but actually there's a huge amount you can do within your own business, within the farm gate as it were, that can make a huge difference to profitability. And I guess just that attitude of questioning everything that you're doing on your farm is something that's definitely been hammered home to me.
Your plan is to very much sort of go into dairy farming in the UK.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's been quite a tough couple of years for dairy farmers back here. How do you think you're going to make it in that industry compared to others who are perhaps struggling?
Yeah. I guess everything I've been taught about so far is based on a really low cost production method. And with that grounding, I think there's incredible opportunities. So the UK dairy market, the pricing structure for it, I guess, is built around a fairly high cost production system. And it's those operators that have been really struggling. So if you can be a low cost operator in a high cost market, then there's a great gap. And that's going to be your margin to make profit on. So I think there's really good opportunities, and the systems that I've been learning about, I hope, are really applicable to back here.
Given the sort of the process you've been through over the last few years, what would your advice be to other new entrants looking to get started in the sector?
So something that I was told quite recently, which sort of hit home, was that actually the most important thing when you're trying to start off in farming is just yourself, like your brand and how people perceive you. So your reputation is going to massively precede you, and whether or not that's going to be a good reputation or a bad reputation is going to make a huge, huge difference in terms of the opportunities that are going to be available to you. So just, it's so important, I guess, to try and make sure that people recognise that you're hardworking and keen and loyal and just the sort of person they're going to want to employ. So for someone looking to start out, I'd say you've got to massively focus on improving yourself, like focus on you. I've massively treated myself as being like an asset that I want to make myself valuable so that people are going to want to invest in me and want to provide me with opportunities in the future. And I think that hopefully that's working out quite well. And that's the main advice I give to someone else wanting to start off. Just look at yourself, see where your current weaknesses are and what's maybe holding you back as being a good investment, and then just focus on those things and just yeah, try and tick them off one by one, like break it down, see what steps you need to go through, what hoops you got to jump through to become a great investment.
The perception is that there are a lot of barriers preventing new entrants getting their sort of first step on the farming ladder. Do you agree with them, or do you think they're pretty surmountable?
So yeah, obviously there are barriers, like it's not cheap to get into farming, it's not easy to get hold of land. Yeah, definitely there are barriers, but they're massively overplayed in my opinion, and I don't know, in my experience it's entirely a mindset thing. Like if you sit down and focus on what you're good at and try and find yourself a little production niche or a area of expertise that you can become really good in, then people are going to invest in you, opportunities are going to arise. I've been really fortunate with the opportunities that have been presented to me, and yeah, I think there's too much is made of the problems in the system. Like that's, in my opinion, not the case. It's a mindset thing, and if you're keen and want to progress, then there's heaps of opportunities out there, and those barriers are, yeah, definitely surmountable, if not non-existent.
When we first met you, you spoke a lot about not coming from a farming background and the sort of the opportunities and challenges that sort of represented for you. Where do you stand now on your lack of farming pedigree, perhaps?
Yeah.
And what would your advice be to other people who maybe don't have a background in the industry?
It is tricky because I guess 18 months ago I used to think, oh, no farming background, maybe it's a bit hard, maybe I should go and try and make money in another sector and then look to come into it at a later point with more financial backing, or maybe just pursue other options in sort of ancillary industries. And that was definitely, I was keen definitely 18 months ago, but was sort of slightly overwhelmed by the problems that everyone tells you about. But I couldn't disagree with that attitude more now. I think there's fantastic opportunities out there for first generation farmers. The lack of family ties and the lack of preconceived ideas is something that can like only be beneficial in terms of helping you learn and progress and take opportunities. I'm really lucky in where I am currently that the only thing that's holding me back in terms of I guess my mobility is what I'm prepared to put myself through or where I'm prepared to go. There's no ties forcing me to go to a certain area, so it just means that I can entirely pursue what I think is the best opportunity, and that freedom and open-mindedness I hope is something that will set me in really good stead, and it's something that any other first generation farmer has got in their favour, and that's a massive head start when you want to get started.
One of the things that you sort of articulated quite strongly when we spoke to you after the Farmers Apprentice was that there was no way that going to work in the city was a better career than a job in the countryside.
Yeah.
Do you still stand by that? And how have your friends in the city sort of progressed compared to where you are now?
Yeah, I definitely stand by that, number one. So in terms of the opportunities I've been given for progression, more responsibility, learning a bit more about management and dealing with people and financial aspects of the business, it seems I've been incredibly fortunate to have had far more opportunities thrown at me than my city type friends. In terms of job satisfaction, I'd say I get far more. Every day I can see what I've done. There's like tangible results, which are brilliant. There's no staring at a wall, looking at a clock, wondering when the day's going to end. Time flies by. Yeah, there is no comparison. I couldn't have hoped for a better experience. If you want to look at stuff like salary, which is maybe something that's more measurable, yeah, maybe they are still slightly ahead of me in terms of what they're making. But then when you look at non-financial benefits like a house and not commuting, it's actually far closer. But in terms of the long-term opportunities, farming, I think, offers far better structured career paths if you're in the right sector than any city job. It has to be on par, if not better. And just in dairy farming specifically, like the ability in the future for me to manage my own like multi-million-pound business, that's a massive attraction. And yeah, that's got to be as good as any city job, surely.